Hey, welcome to the Linux channel. So after I shot and published my recent episode on NAS operating systems, and I have compared various operating systems, I got few mails or messages saying that someone is using Untitled or OpenMediaVault, or let it be anything else, for quite some time, maybe around a couple of years, or maybe past 3-4 years or something like that. And they said generally they never lost anything, and it was very reliable, and it really worked well for them, and stuff like that. But I just want to say one thing is, even I'm using this Netgear system, which is, again, as I said, it's a Linux based. You can anyway SSH. I have even done a video episode, so you can even SSH and you can do some basic stuff, even a commercial product like this. So I'm not denying that. Even I had no issues so far, but in between there is some glitch, and it really happened because there is that new NAS drive itself is a faulty one, and I did got a replacement, or I thought a replacement, and of course I did got a refund of the same after I returned in Amazon. So things like that do happen, but in that process it had some sort of it created a mess in my storage array, and then no matter whatever I slotted in, it was not getting properly created once again. So I need to get all the data out of my NAS system, and I need to completely rebuild by doing the factory reset and stuff like that. But having said that, you should understand, if you have a commercial product, in any such situation, in case if the operating system gets corrupted or the OS drive itself gets corrupted, then you don't have any choices, but you need to take out, or maybe it's a power supply or something gets bad, or some motherboard issue or something like that. You should understand, sometimes in these devices they may not have anything modular. Okay, the processor and memory, everything will get soldered onto the motherboard. Even mine, I checked it, everything is soldered onto the motherboard. So in such situation, you have only one option is, you need to take away all the drives, and you need to send this device for any support or any hardware service or something like that, as long as you have that warranty period, or else you can get some extended warranty or something based on that brand. So this itself is a huge disadvantage, and of course that's the reason we can explore any NAS operating systems where we can custom build and things like that. So as a part of that, when I discussed, I got again mails like this. So one thing I can tell is, it depends on the production system. If you have that production system, if you carefully use it, sometimes it may not have much issue. So you should understand, as far as I have done tests, I have done really rigorous tests, and I have done not like any specific test cycles. I did very average test cycles, so that I can try few scenarios and stuff like this, so that how it is resilient or reliable enough to get back our pool or the array in case if it is get corrupted or something like that. So what I did is, you can see here, I just did a fresh OpenMediaVault install, and this if you go to settings, I have created some virtual hard drive. So this is again for demonstration. You can do it in a real system, it doesn't matter, because even I have tried such things in the real system. It's just not that I have tried, but I thought for the sake of demo, this is more than enough. I don't have to put in some server and do a demonstration of the same. So you can see here it has 5 virtual drives I created, and you have this OS drive. In that I just installed the OpenMediaVault OS. It's a fresh install, and you will know once I boot, it is not going to have anything inside. So it's a very fresh install, and inside you can see the network. It has been connected to internal network, so essentially it is connected to this virtual pfSense router, and on the other side I have powered up my Linux desktop. It's a VM desktop. You can see here it's a VM desktop. So this desktop and this OpenMediaVault are both connected to this pfSense router's LAN port. So they should share the same subnet, and I should get the connectivity. So this is the first time I'm booting up after a fresh install. Let's see how it works out. So the desktop is on and the router is on. We can just fire up this OpenMediaVault. Yep. So when I was doing tests, that's what I was not biased on any specific NAS operating system. I was very specific about its internal architecture, but at the same time I was quite particular about how it copes up with any disaster situation or any sort of drive corruption or something like that, or else especially drive unavailability. Okay, yeah, in case if you have a RAID 5, you have option of one drive getting bad, and at the same time in ZFS pool, the ZFS Z or RAID Z, you can have one drive can go bad, Z2 2 drives and Z3 3 drives or whatever it is. So I just tested in the case of FreeNAS, I tested, or else in the case of ZFS, I tried with Z2 and Z3 and it worked fine. And in the case of other alternate systems like OpenMediaVault or even Ubuntu server, I tried with RAID 5 or RAID 6. And then in the case of Unraid, I did with a couple of parity drives and as well as a couple of storage drives, and I tested few scenarios. So we can just log in. Yep. So if config is not installed, so sudo apt install net tools. So if config is a command I'm quite used, I don't like this IP issue or something like that. So we can just install this because it's like any regular Linux system. So you can do this. If config, it is it got that IP address from that DHCP server of pfSense router. So you can see here 8.149. So we can go to the desktop and we can open or we can access the same. So as I said, it's a very fresh install. We can do a test array setup, and then we can screw this array and then see how it performs. Okay, the criteria is not about how do you do a fresh network storage setup and then how do you give access to your entire home user. So it's a mediocre way of thinking. Okay, you need reliability, you need something, you are very serious about your data, then you need to do this test first than bothering about all the cool features which that operating system or the distribution provides. Okay, so let's open this Firefox. So the Firefox is taking quite a long time, so I opened this Google Chrome. So we can type this IP address 192.168.8.148 I suppose. We can check here OpenMediaVault, yeah, 149. So we can provide 149. Yeah, you can see here it has connected. So let's just open Media Vault. So I suppose I have provided the default password open Vault. Yeah, yes, it is accepted. So we can go here and you can see here it is showing all this available disks. So as you have the virtualization layer, it really doesn't know whether it's real disk or not. There is an exception, of course. It won't able to get this smart status and other disk parameters. So of course it needs this bare metal access of this disk. Okay, so you can see here it has this serial number and everything. So you can see I have created 5 drives which is around which are around each 2 GB, so that it gets build much faster. Otherwise it will take long time in this demo. You can even do much larger in space, or else you can directly use a physical system as well. And as I said in the previous episode, do all these tests and before you conclude anything to use, whether it is even sometimes if you are thinking to buy even a commercial product, okay, do try doing all these tests or go through the forums and decide which one to buy. Not just about getting a server up and then start dumping all your important data. Okay, so you can see you got all this disks. Of course the smart is not going to work, so I'm not enabling smart monitoring or anything. So we can directly jump over RAID management and we can create an array. So you can see here you can choose RAID 5 or 6. For demonstration purposes I'm choosing RAID 5. So I can give some name, OMV RAID or array, something like that, and we can choose all this disks. So we can choose around maybe 5 disks. Yeah, all the disks we can choose, whichever is provided other than the operating system drive. So okay, so we can create, yes, yeah. So you need to do this apply. Looks like it has some kind of fail to read. What is this error? It's fine, we can just retry. Again some kind of error. Let's just not much bother about show details. What happened? Exception, fail to read JSON inc. Looks like there is some access permission issue or something like that. So let me see. Of course, since I can touch directly, let me just see. It can be an issue in this VM install or maybe not. Okay, so this is something I just want to skip over and focus about the RAID stuff. So we can go to temp. As it shows, there is some log file or something. It is unable to access or something. We can see here it is BG status something actually. So yeah, BG status, you can see there are some couple of files, and this one is 20xe. Yeah, 20xe. So ls minus l 20xe. So it has only root read write access. So for for the demonstration purpose, let me just enable all the writes. So ch mod 777 BG status. Okay, WL. I know that it is not safe. Of course, you are providing all the access. So it is not safe in case it is some kind of critical, log file. But it is fine for the demonstration purpose. It is fine. Let us try the same. Yeah, this time, as you can see, it is applying the changes. So maybe you can log in as a root user or whatever. I just logged in with the default user, which is what you can find it across. So default OpenMediaVault password. You can see it's a root password, admin and OpenMediaVault. So same thing I tried and it is giving this error. But anyway, when I did the tests, I didn't got any such error. So we can just ignore the same. So we try to recreate what I found with a RAID array. So you can see it shows the status. It is clean and it's a freshly created RAID array. So what we can do is we can go ahead and create a file system. You can come here and what you can do is you can create a file system. Here is where, to cut short my video, what I can do is I can create one sample file system. You can create both Btrfs, or you can create even ext4. You can create any file system. So I'm not sure which one to try, because both the file systems I had this issue. So maybe I can create this Btrfs file system. And as you can see, you can select which is the physical or this array to create the file system. So you can tell the same and you can give some label. So OMV array. So this is the label of that file system. Like you when you do a format of your drive, you give some label for that file system. So that is what it is. So it should do the same. Yeah, as you can see, it has created successfully, and it should appear over here. Yeah, you can see it has created the file system. Since the file system is not mounted, it is not showing any size available or used bytes or GBs of space, and so it is showing not applicable because it is not yet mounted. So it doesn't know what is that file system space is all about. So we can just do a mount. With that, it mounts the file system. So once mount is done, you can give any df command like a regular Unix system. You can do this in FreeBSD, you can do this in Linux system. With this tf command, you can see once it is mounted, you can see here the dev md0, because it is in end of the day, this is in mdadm based RAID in the backend. So it have created that RAID device. It's a virtual device, dev and md0, and you can see it has been mounted in /srb and with that name disk by dev disk by label omv array. So that's what it is. So you can even do a direct access by going here. You can just do this and you can touch my file.txt. So you can just do a raw access this way. You don't need to mount anything. You can do this way. At the end of the day, there is a file which we are dumping in the file system. So as simple as that. So you can do this, and you can even create a mount. Let us save this. You can even do a share over here, like SMB SIF access. You can enable the same, and shares. Let me save this with this default settings. Revert. Yes, save, and you can go here and you can create a share. We can just add this OpenMediaVault, and the path we can give shared folder test1, something like that, and it has automatically created the path inside that share. Yes, you can say browsable, yes, and you can set any permissions. Yes, share DOS attributes, yes. So you can give the defaults, and you can just apply this, and you can create some user, add, let's create a user kiran, some password, and we can just create this user. So with this we have created a user as well as a share. So we can go here in the desktop, over here, okay, file browser, and then we try to access that share. So you can set these permissions. Since it's a demo, I don't want to waste much time. I just want that share access over here so that we can access like any other NAS storage. So let me try it now. And we see, okay, Kiran on OpenMediaVault. I think I'm still not complete something about it. So SMB safe, enable, save, shares, edit. Save, and SMB service, system log services, SMB, this logs. Yeah, you can see here it has created this new access, OpenMediaVault SMB. I guess this is SSH, that's why it is not allowing me. It is not the SMB share. So you can now access the same. As you can see, it shows up like any other NAS. So since I have not much fiddled around, I have not done it in a quick way. But if it is something like FreeNAS, I have tested almost like a couple of years by now. But it has always been my test setup. Never I did had any production system until now. Okay. So you can access the same. You can see here you can provide the user, and you can access the same. Since that file I have created in another path, you can see inside you have this folder test1. We can move this file, my file, inside this test1. So with that, this file should appear over here as well. So you refresh, you can see here it appears over here. So with this it is done, and now you can go ahead and you can copy anything you want. So I have a large file and I can just do a copy. It is a part of a video file. It's a slice of video file. You can see even in a VM it is copying at this amazing speed. This is not possible with FreeNAS. Okay, so please understand, FreeNAS is very much resource hungry, and even in a VM I have given around I have provided around 6 or 8 GB of RAM, and even in that situation it is not at this mark. So you can see it is around 30 Mbps, which is really amazing. So even with FreeNAS I was hardly getting around 12 megabytes per second, not at this speed, or at the max of 15 or 17 Mbps. So this is the main reason I was curious about using any Linux platform rather than using something like FreeNAS, because FreeNAS, as I said, as you know, it is really suited for enterprise-like applications, but for an average home user it has a lot of restrictions. And but when it is a situation of reliability, of course there is you need to think about a platform which provides that reliable and secure platform, so that you can have that resources available to you. Okay, so yeah, you can see here you can do all these operations like any typical RAID system or NAS system. So you can go back here, and what we can do is we can do grow and other stuff, but the problem is when you do generally grow, it allocates it. If you add any new drive or something, when you do generally a grow or something, by default it adds like a hot spare. But again, to add as a existing RAID array, you need to again do certain steps. You need to unmount the file system, and you need to do some couple of steps. Anyway, so we can even before doing something like that, let's test some basic situation like pulling out the drive or missing drive scenario. So what we can do is we can shut down the system. We can go here, we can shut down the system, and you can see over here it will show about its system logs or kernel logs that it is doing a shutdown operation. So yeah, so the system is down. You can see here its status is off. So you can go here and you can go to storage, and you can delete randomly any drive in that array. So you can delete maybe drive letter 4. I can just do this and give OK. So the drive is pulled out, and I can even delete that file, because the file will be available in this local system. So the VDI file as well I can delete it. So this is as good as taking out that hard drive out of that server. So the file is deleted. I can go back here, so you can see in the settings you have 1, 2, 3 and 5. So one of the drive is missing. So you can go here and you can now boot. So once it is booted, we can again reconnect, and we see that how it copes up. So this is where it really excites me, because I have done an exclusive video about how something like FreeNAS handles, and how you can swap each failing drive, or you can do an upgrade by swapping each drive and resilvering it, and then you can build your entire pool. I mean, you can upgrade your entire pool, but the disadvantage is if you have a pool which has around 6 drives, you need to upgrade all the 6 drives, or in case if some of the drives have lower capacity drives, so some of the drives in that pool have lower capacity hard drives, you need to upgrade those hard drives so that you get that expansion possible. So that is the main drawback with something like ZFS. Okay, so yeah, with that thing removed, what is this now? HDFN doesn't exist. What is the issue? So I have just removed one of those drives. So go to the settings, storage. You can see here the OS drive is still available, and it is just one of these drive is removed, and I'm not sure why it is throwing up this error. So consistency is like this, okay, either I got like this, or else there is a workaround, okay. So we do something else if it is not coming up. STA1 doesn't exist. I'm not sure why it is showing STA1, because we have pulled out something else. It is not an OS drive, okay. So we just do a hard shutdown. You can see here power of the machine and reload settings, okay. So we do here, and so this is the 10 GB drive which has this OS installed. Why it is not booting? So general, advanced, system, okay, I can disable this floppy optical and then enable this hard drive, okay. So we retry and we see what happens this time. Advanced options, yes, select this kernel. We see if it doesn't boot, then it doesn't boot. So this is also the reason I said I tested extensively everything, and then I find each one have some issue, okay. Yeah, you can see here this time it logged in. So I have not literally done any changes, as you've seen. So I just did a reboot or did a hard shutdown and then retried, okay. So this time it came up. So we try logging in. So this should work because it is just a OS. Yeah, this should work because this is just a OS drive. So we can do a DF. You can see here it is not mounted. So if you think a situation like this, just by pulling the drive, I'm not sure why it is not mounted, okay. We have done no changes in the graphical user interface, as you've seen, okay. So you can see here it is not mounted, and you can go here and you can get into the GUI, OpenMediaVault. So we check what have happened inside the system. So the drives, you can see one drive is missing, one of the 2 GB drive is missing, and in the RAID the entire RAID have vanished. So whereas here there is a stray entry of this file system. So now you have this stray entry in the database, I mean the configuration database of OpenMediaVault. But what happened to this RAID specs which we have configured? So this is the thing which I was hinting about. So when such a thing happens, there is a workaround. You can do via command prompt. You can try via md-adm commands manually, or else you can try with an Ubuntu live disk as well. So I tried with Ubuntu drive, and it is a nice experience. I was able to get that array back, but getting that entry getting missed or vanishing in the OpenMediaVault is completely not acceptable. See, I'm not against any NAS operating system. I don't have any BIOS, so I just need something which I need to use it in my production system. So I was checking out, I'm okay to even get a licensed copy of any of those paid ones as well, like Android or even Rockstar. Even Rockstar, I had some weird issues like this. So what I can do is I can shut it down, and we do as a way a pro does, okay. So I can just shut it down, and you should understand you have this Linux ecosystem. With that we have this OS drive. So this time what we do is we don't boot with this OpenMediaVault OS drive. Instead we boot with Ubuntu desktop live CD, and we try to recover this RAID array, okay. Even that is possible. I have done and it worked, but not all the time, okay. So we can try that. We can go here in settings, OpenMediaVault storage. We can insert this drive, this ISO image. You can see Ubuntu desktop. So we can just do this, and we try to boot with that instead of the hard drive. We can change the boot sequence, enable this optical drive, and disable this hard drive. So with that it should boot with Ubuntu live CD. Yeah, it is booting with Ubuntu desktop live CD. So it's not even Ubuntu server. So the reason I am doing this is it has some GUI tools which we can use, okay. If you try to fiddle around with OpenMediaVault OS, the problem is you need to do a lot of command line jugglery. So to avoid that, you can use some graphical tools. So you have something called as disks. You can use the tool. At the same time, you can install MDADM. That's not an issue. So other than that, the kernel, it's Linux kernel, so it's all the same. So you can do this, and you can get into that. You can try this, try Ubuntu, because we just need operating system. We don't need to install anything. So, okay. So, generally, in case if you are new to this entire thing, or if you are into Windows and you don't know about what exactly is happening, understand whenever it boots from this live CD, the CD-ROM gets mounted as a read-only file system. So technically it cannot write on that CD drive, CD or DVD image, ISO image, and it will mount that entire stuff onto the RAM, and like ISO 9660 is the ISO file format, so it mounts that onto the RAM, and end of the day the booted OS will be onto that RAM disk image. So it will be on that RAM disk image. The entire root file system will be on the RAM disk image. So now the read-write access is possible because the root file system is mounted onto the RAM disk image. So it treats it as any other system, but only drawback is once you shut down, the entire configuration or any files you store in any folder will get deleted. You can even create users and do anything, but it will get deleted once you reboot the system, because it's all existing in the RAM drive, not in the real physical storage. So now we have booted. So what we can do is we can go to the tool called disks, and yeah, you can see here, you can see all those 2 GB drives and you have this RAM mounted file system. So let's not get into it. I provided around 2 GB. I believe it has used something for swap and something for this main root file system. So I'm not an expert in this, but I can give overall an idea about what is happening. So this is your RAM drive. So this is an imaginary RAM drive. So that's why it is showing a dev loop of 0, which is yeah, I think so. That is the RAM drive. Okay, I'm not sure why it shows read only, but that's your RAM drive, I guess. So, or else it is showing that is your mounted CD-ROM drive, and it just shows that. Okay, so anyway, as I said, I'm not an expert of it. So, but one thing is clear: the entire OS is mounted onto that RAM. So which is why you can do any access, you can install anything in this, but it won't get saved once you reboot your system. So apart from that, you can see here it has all these 4 drives, and one we have removed it out of this system. So what you can do is you can install this MDADM manually. You can go to terminal so that you get the command line access, or you can go here, sudo apt install MDADM. Yeah, it gets installed as any regular Linux system, but nothing is going to survive if you reboot, because everything is happening in the RAM drive. So it has installed. Now you can provide MDADM command. So you can see here it works. Now since I'm not an expert in MDADM, let's just try what is the option for MDADM import or something like that, because we need to build this. Okay, MDADM import existing RAID. Okay, so we just Google this. I have noted down some of these commands, but I'm not sure where I kept. Okay, so you can try this assemble, of course, yes, and this is not a good guide. Let's just try something else. Yes, you can do this assemble and scan verbose. Yes. So we can do this. So we can try this MDADM assemble. So you can do this MDADM minus assemble minus verbose, and yeah, and before that maybe scan, or after that scan minus scan, and you can provide your dev MD0, which is your RAID drive. Once it gets assembled, it will be projected as a virtual device. Okay, virtual hard drive, which is MD0. So After that you can provide all this drive letters. So whatever you see here in the disks, okay, so this is SDB and this is SDC and SDD and SDE, and technically in the case of free NAS you can put it in any order, and that's one main advantage. You must have seen in my previous video I just put labels of on each hard drive denoting which pool it belongs to, and then what is its serial number and my database ID. So this allows me, in case if the drive failure or something happens, I can take away right away, I can take that drive away and I can replace that drive. But I can do it in any order, I can put any SATA cable, any order, it's just going to work. You don't need any issues. But in general, you must have seen, if you have a Netgear system or something, you should be careful. You cannot swap from disk 1 to disk 4 slot and disk 4 to disk 1 slot, and obviously it is not going to work. So you need to be quite careful about the same. So we provide this command, we see it, it's very simple. You can see here dev md0, and you can provide all this drive letters. So /dev and sdb /dev sdc /dev sdd and /dev sde. Okay, we can verify here. You can see here this is sde and this is std, C and B. So it should start from B, C, D, E. Okay, so it should end in E. So we try this. Yeah, must be a super user. So sudo is not identified in configure file. I'm not sure about the scan and verbose. So let us remove that, because I just did this earlier and it worked. I think so. Okay, so assembled from 4 drives, but it is saying need all 5 drives to start it. Use ---- run to insist. So notice this, and you go to the disks, and you can see here the RAID array have been created, and I'm not sure it is showing empty. So which is the reason it is not started. Okay, so this is how you can construct manually, but you can see the issue with OpenMediaVault. It has completely taken out that entry, and okay, so how can you use it for a production system? So which is why I'm saying I'm not against any of these commercial ones or even open source ones. Okay, it's just I thought let me do an extensive research and let me figure it out over a long period of time which one it suits me, not to create some share and putting all your music files and media files and make it as some kind of home media server, but as a very serious backup solution where it has that redundancy. That's the main purpose of making this. If you just want to make some media server, you can create some kind of JBOD. I mean, there is nothing wrong in that. Okay, if you are able to have and moreover, some people are very choosy about having dual redundant network adapters and stuff like that. It's still, there are so many other things are there. As a beginner or as and not an expert, maybe you may not be aware. So you should understand, anytime if you have any files which are getting processed in your local system, even some amount of redundancy should be done in your local system as well. If your local system is some kind of high-end but mediocrely done gaming device, okay, so even that is going to be a sort of point of failure. And I have really done, I really thought once completely getting adopted towards SSD drives and stuff like that, and I got a very bad lesson, because when I had an SSD drive, it was quite comfortable to edit any of these YouTube videos, because the drive speed is amazing. I can do quick rendering and stuff like that. But the main disadvantage with the flash drives is if it gets corrupt, it gets corrupt really without any warnings, unlike your hard drive. So I thought that's the biggest lesson. I thought from that day onwards I never want to use any SSD drives till the market gets really mature. So this is a story which just happened around I think couple of years or just 1.5 years back, and it's a fairly new drive. It's a Transcend 128 GB drive, and to get that RMA getting processed, it really took some 6 months, and I need to send lot of mails and go to and fro, and moreover in India they have the stupid policy, we need to go somewhere and we need to give them physically, and the service center looks like a dungeon actually, okay, with no lights, nothing. I'm not sure why these companies put all this useless packaging on their products, but they really suck in terms of providing any customer support. I need to end up calling or mailing their CEO or somebody, and finally got this stuff replaced. Okay, so after that I learnt one big lesson is never trust any SSDs, never trust this market till really it gets cheap, dirt cheap, and moreover the market should get really competitive and mature. Let it be even Samsung or Intel NVMe's or whatever it is, it should get really mature. Okay, until then don't even touch that. Okay, the disks are very reliable in a different way versus SSDs are reliable in a different way. Although it has no moving parts, just put your common sense, any stray cosmic rays or just anything can destroy that, and when SSD gets corrupt, it really gets corrupt in a bad way. So which is the reason I just done any such builds, and moreover I'm not interested to put any caching with SSDs and stuff like that. So there are so many things out there. If you're a beginner, you may not be aware of that. You may just go through some discussion forums and you will take some opinion, and somebody will argue, and someone will say this is not the way, there's something, they will give their own opinions, or else some system admin will tell maybe he may work in enterprise but he may tell his own opinions. You should understand, I'm a systems developer, so I touch very much internal, and in case if something is looking like an anomaly, I don't mind getting into the entire file system code and check why it is happening. So it's just very easy. Okay, so take my words, don't rely on all this open forums or something. Okay, use your common sense, do some tests yourself. Okay, this is a very simple test. You do something like this. If you are not convinced with my VM setup, do it in a bare metal device. I don't have any such infrastructure. Okay, keep doing so. Since I got some mails after I shot my old video, I thought let me do a follow-up and let me show it some kind of action live. So you can see here it says the block device is empty, so at least it's a good sign that something is showing up, but I'm not sure about this run stuff. I think I need to provide something over here. Is busy, so I think let me just click this and do this. Is there any force option? STB is busy, so let me just close this, because if anything is accessing or holding that resource, maybe sometimes you may get such errors. So even that is not possible. I think it is done. I think DF. Okay, it is which is that this thing. We can even do a manual mount, that is not an issue. Okay, disks, you have this disks. Mount options. Okay. Mount point. Okay, so something it shows as a mount. Actually, I was when I was doing a test, I was even able to get a proper mount, and I was able to access my files from this. Okay, so so mount, whether I can do this or I need to try this, I'm not sure. So how do I stop this MDADM assemble? So okay, I can go to the drives and I can do one thing. I can disable this. Is it possible? No, it is not possible. Then I need to go through the MDADM. Disable RAID. Yeah, something like that. Let us see whether we can remove that virtual drive. -D, which is detail. Okay, I can try that. Sudo mdadm -d dev md 127. Yeah, for active, and it shows something, and let us see if we can mount this file system. So mount dev, let me create some file, raid something. Let me create a folder, and we can mount it. mount minus F or something, and dev md127 dot slash raid. You can use minus egg. Okay, so yeah, sudo su mount minus F dev md127 dot slash raid. Okay, raid looks like df, looks like it is mounted. I'm not sure. It is not yet mounted, so we can just go back. Yep, it is not yet mounted. So we should first remove this, and we can try some other option. Okay, so this is for the status, which is not an issue. Minus q human readable summary. You can get examine stopping an array. Okay, mdadm stop, and that's it. It's quite simple. Okay, we can try that. Sudo, or it's already in the sudo, so mdadm minus stop dev md127. Yep, so if you go here, it should vanish. So you can see here it has vanished. So now we can try, we can go out. Now we can try that same command which we have created or assembled with this minus run option. Yeah, df, we go here, and you can see here RAID5 array, and yeah, now it is ready to mount. You can see here, now you can mount it. So we can just mount this way. We can even do this way, or else you can go to the files and you can mount it other locations, and you can mount it. So it appears like any regular disk or storage resource. So it completely abstracts, so you can just mount it. So I can do this way also. You can see here test1, and we have that files. Okay, so whatever I have done over there, so this much I have tested. So with this I gave that conclusion that I cannot use it for something like a production system, just because one drive have vanished out of 5 drives with RAID5. And if you are not convinced, you can try with RAID 6. It doesn't matter. See, you have that criteria, 1 disk failure in RAID 5 and RAID 6 maybe 2 disk. It doesn't matter. So the thing is, so end of the day, it is not any JBOD. So technically it should be fault tolerant with RAID 5 option, whichever I have created. So you can create RAID 6, whatever it is, but why it should vanish? So after I found that issue, I was still unable to believe, and I have tried a couple of iterations, still it has happened, and I thought this is not something suitable for a production use. So they say some places, of course, Btrfs is immature or not yet production ready and all that. See, leave that part, okay? As a beginner, you don't know, leave that part. Btrfs or the file system comes next. What happens to the RAID array? Okay, so that is the main issue. And moreover, one more issue is, let us just unmount this. Okay, so the drive is unmounted. df, yeah, it is unmounted. You can do one more thing. Sudo mdadm minus stop dev md0. So we have stopped it, and let's assume you are assembling it in a different order, because this is something possible with ZFS. We try this option, D and E. Okay, so it has looks like it is working without any issues. So we go here, yeah, it has appeared, and we just mount it. So looks like order is not an issue, which is a good thing. Yeah, so we don't have any issues with the order. Okay, so this is working. So now you can do one test. You can do a df and df minus h. You can see here it shows around total available space of around 5.5 GB out of those 5 drives which initially we have created. In that one it is missing. So that's what. So yeah, this is the sort of inconsistency I was mentioning about. Okay, so I just don't mention unless until if I get some clear cut picture, but I don't have to do some demo in every video I shoot. Okay, so this is something I have done extensively. This is not just some couple of hours I sat in OpenMediaVault. I spent around couple of days, around almost 16 hours a day. Okay, so I did this and I played with Ubuntu server, and then I thought, let me scrap everything, and then I have installed Ubuntu server, and then with Webmin I have created a RAID array, and then or you can just try to import this RAID array as well. So it's fine. The thing is, even there I had some similar experience. So even with because there it is old school, it is no more a NAS operating system. Ubuntu server is a Genix operating system. You need to configure Samba yourself. You need to do several things yourself manually. It is no more automated, but it is not an issue because still we can do that. It is not any rocket science. Even in my system have a Samba share, so that I can move files to and fro from the host operating system PC to the VM devices, so that is also not an issue for me. Okay, so you can go here. If I show here in the files, in this desktop, it is not responding. So let's it would have been good if it is working, because I can show a demo, I can or else I can do here itself. Even in this, if I type my system IP, so smb://192.168.0.88, connection refused, I'm not sure, 88, or maybe this. Yep, it is accepting. Now I can type my password. Connection refused. Maybe I'm typing something wrong. So usually I access this. I'm not sure about this one because generally it suggests that username and password. So I can retry. It's fine. Anyway, I can do that in general. Okay, so even in my local system I have this SMB access, so of course you can create manually. That is also not an issue, so I'm fine with that. But I just thought let me have a very reliable RAID array with Ubuntu platform or OpenMediaVault, or in general any Linux based system. Okay, so this is as you understand, this is based on MDADM. Even this Netgear is based on MDADM. Of course, Netgear, they must have done several tests, and of course it is something a fully done, ready to use hardware, and of course the company, the development team will spend hours, and they will fix all these issues on existing Linux kernel stack as well. So that is something it is guaranteed. But here I'm not sure why it is having this, or else even the OpenMediaVault, it has some issue with the database whenever it stores that, and something like that. So yeah, that is an issue with the NAS operating system or the distribution. We cannot fully blame Linux itself. Okay, so this is what. But still, whenever you do this manual mount, still I had issues sometimes. Sometimes it works. As you've seen, now it has worked seamless, which is good, but not every time you can expect this, and that's when your ass is on fire. Okay. So other than that, when I tested Android, so far I didn't had any issues. Please understand, I didn't told that Android had any issues, but whenever it comes about rebuilding any failed drive or something, it's really taking long time. It's not an issue that it takes long time, but if I do a shutdown, if I do a graceful shutdown and resume it, it once again does everything from the beginning, and this is something I cannot use it in my kind of a situation, because in over here there may be any power issues, and if there is a power cut, I need to shut down the system ASAP, and so each time whenever it comes back, I need to restore this, but it is not going to restore from that point onwards, and it is going to repeat once again. So this is again extensively I tried with Android. Maybe I missed something, I need to give some time and I need to retry, but effectively after all these tests I felt FreeNAS, it just works seamless. I did literally any sort of test, I literally tried to screw that system, but whether it is VM or bare metal, I never had any issues so far with FreeNAS, which is when I thought, let me take a video about overall all these NAS operating systems, and I can show some sort of I can discuss some opinion about the same, and I'm not favoring any specific NAS operating system. So far I felt for a production system, being a Linux enthusiast and a Linux contributor, unfortunately I felt the platform is not that reliable. Either the distribution has an issue like OpenMediaVault or even anything else, okay, so or it's an issue with the kernel itself, or it's an issue with something else. So I'm not sure. I'm not a storage expert, although I'm a systems expert. So which is when I thought, let me use the FreeNAS, let it be FreeBSD based, but still it is, hey, it's very reliable and it's very lightweight and it's very, very fast, okay. So with this, I would like to conclude this video. Once again, if you have anything to discuss, stay tuned, be in touch via mail. Thanks a lot for joining me. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. So just an extra clip. Okay, so if you want to delete or if you want to shut down this, since it is just mounted on a RAM disk, you can just do a power off. You don't need to do any graceful shutdown. You can just do this and you can just do power off this machine. So with that it is done, because it's not anything anything booted from a disk or hard drive, so you can just do that. So with that you can shut it down. And this thing, I'm not sure, my desktop VM desktop is frozen. I can just do that same hard shutdown, which is fine, okay. So yeah, something it has happened and it is showing. Let me just do a force quit and let me just close it. It happens hardly once in a while, but it is fine actually, because this is, once again, it is something installed something like a couple of years ago, my entire lab, and it's just very robust. And I have again backups of all these VMs in my NAS, so it's fine. If anything is corrupt or screwed up, I can just pull that backup and I can restore it as simple as that.